Hey, it's from experience. For a long time, I was the funny guy. Every group has one. The one who always has a line, always lightens the mood, always gets the laugh. People gravitate toward him at parties. Girls think he's a blast to be around. He's never awkward, never quiet, never lets a silence sit too long. And for a long time, I thought that was a good thing. But here's what I didn't understand at the time. I wasn't funny because I was confident. I was funny because I wasn't. I was shy, genuinely insecure, and humor was the one tool I had that consistently worked. If I could make someone laugh, I controlled how they saw me. They were too busy enjoying the joke to look any closer, to notice anything deeper, to ask harder questions about who I actually was underneath all of it. Being funny was a shield, and I got really good at holding it up. Because insecurity is creative. It finds ways to protect itself that look nothing like protection from the outside. Being the funny guy looks like confidence. It looks like someone comfortable and carefree and easy to be around. But underneath it was just a kid who didn't trust that people would stick around if he stopped performing. The problem with a shield is you can't selectively lower it. I was using humor to protect myself from being seen, but in doing that, I made sure nobody ever actually saw me. Not the real version, not the one with actual substance behind it, just the entertaining one, just the funny guy. And you can only be the funny guy for so long before you feel it, the hollowness of it, the way every interaction stays on the surface because you keep pulling it back there every time it starts to go deeper. And nowhere did this cost me more than with girls. The ones I actually wanted, the genuinely attractive ones, the ones with options. They thought I was hilarious. I'd have them laughing all night without even trying that hard. But they never saw me as an option. I was entertainment, the guy they had a great time with and then went home and thought about someone else. Because funny and attractive are not the same thing. You can make a girl laugh until she can't breathe and still never once make her feel something real for you. She's not choosing the funny guy. She's choosing the guy who was a little hard to read, who wasn't performing for her approval every time there was a silence. I was doing the opposite of that, and I learned it slowly, watching the girls I wanted gravitate toward guys who said half as much as I did and somehow held twice the attention. It wasn't one specific moment where everything clicked. It was a slow, uncomfortable realization that built over time. I started noticing that the guys who had the girls they wanted weren't the loudest ones in the room. They weren't performing. They weren't working for the laugh. They were just present, calm, comfortable in themselves in a way that didn't need any audience to validate it. And I started asking myself an honest question. Why did every uncomfortable silence need to be filled? Why did every tense moment need a joke? Why did I feel like if I stopped being entertaining for even a second, people would lose interest? That question had an honest answer, because without the humor, I didn't trust that I was enough on my own. So I started pulling back, not becoming cold or serious, just more intentional, more selective about when I spoke and why, letting silences exist without rushing to fill them, saying what I actually meant instead of wrapping everything in a joke so it couldn't land wrong. And something shifted. People started taking me more seriously. Girls started looking at me differently, not because I became a different person, but because I stopped signaling that I needed their reaction every time I opened my mouth. There's a version of humor that comes from confidence, that's genuine, that's attractive. And there's a version that comes from insecurity, that's performance, that keeps people entertained but always at arm's length. I was doing the second one for years without fully realizing it. The shift isn't about never laughing or never having fun. It's about not needing the laugh to feel okay in the room. Be funny when something is genuinely funny. Say what you mean when something needs to be said. Let people sit with who you actually are instead of constantly giving them a show to watch. Because the most magnetic people in any room aren't the ones making everyone laugh. They're the ones who don't need to. And when they do say something, everyone listens. That is all for this one. If any of this resonated with you, drop a comment below. Subscribe for more from experience. Catch you in the next one.